Hi, my name is Laurel Smith. Today is January 22nd, and I will be discussing my lab for exercise 2, and we will be discussing the aspect technique and culturing microbes. And here is my paper to show you the date, time, and my classroom for today's lab. Thank you. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take the pipette, which is here. It's in alcohol, as it's labeled, and I'm going to clean the pipette with alcohol. I have my E. coli tube, or vial, I should say, my Staph epidermis vial, and here is my yeast that has been sitting for about 10 minutes. And here are my tubes where we will be placing the E. coli, the yeast, and the Staph epidermis. So the first thing we're going to do is sanitize the E. coli with the fire. So I'm just gonna round it in a circle so it's not contaminated. I'm gonna take my pipette and just continue to clean it out. And I'm going to get my other tube for the E. coli, where I'll be transferring this E. coli into the broth E. coli. That makes sense. And I'm going to also sterilize the tube of the broth so we don't contaminate anything. And it's also labeled E. coli. Okay. So the pipette is nice and clean from the alcohol. I'm going to take my pipette into the E. coli. Going to take it from here, not touching. And I'm going to place this back here. And put the broth in here, not touching. Don't think I got enough. Get a little bit more. There we go. I'm going to take my pipette, put it back in the alcohol to let it sterilize itself. And I'm going to put the top back on and shake. So that way it is liquid form. Okay, so I'm going to let that sit there. We are now going to move on to the Staph epidermis. Do the same thing. We are going to make for sure it's not contaminated, making it a sterile field. There's my tube with my valve with the Staph epidermis. My pipette is nice and clean, the alcohol. And I have cleaned my lab area with 10% alcohol before starting. So we're putting it in. We're going to shake again. And this is already, the E. coli is already liquid form. And we're going to do the same thing with the staph epidermis. Now let's turn this around so you can see the yeast. Okay, we'll put this here away from the flame. E. coli, staph epidermis. Moving on to the yeast, which is called Cerevisiae. I'm going to take some of my yeast. I'm going to place it in here. Not letting it touch because we do not want to contaminate it. And put the pipette back in the alcohol. And I'm going to shake just a little, not too hard. And as you come closer, you can see the yeast, which is called the Cerevisiae, and you see it's cloudy. Okay, and we'll place it in the tube container. And then we will let it sit for just a second, and then we will come to the containers. We'll all place them in here. Thank you so much.